Last night, Sam Houston State, as we mentioned, beat FIU. We mentioned the Kavion Gaither interception early. And the best part of it is the fact that Sam Houston State, the Bearcats in Huntsville, have clinched a bowl bid in their first year at FBS after the transition. Casey Keeler joins us. Craig and Paul, David Smoke on 365 Sports. Congratulations, Coach.
Appreciate that. It's not easy to go on the road in any conference and win without your starting quarterback. But we played some stifling defense. We blocked the punt. And then that offense, came together that last drive. And I think we took off like 6 minutes and 40 seconds and 11 plays and drove the ball down and kicked the field goal that was end up being the winner. So nice way to move into bowl eligible.
Coach, 10-7, I know that like every close game, and every game and for that matter is tense, but every close game is tense. Would you rather play a 10-7 game from a coach's perspective or a 45-42 game?
One of my good friends, Don Sanders, who's the baseball field is named after here at Sam Houston, used to be one of the Astros minority owners. He said, I saw you a lot on TV last night, and you looked miserable. I was pretty miserable. But, think about that Texas State game. We're in a situation where, we have to, score 40 points in 3 quarters and come back and win. So, winning's winning. And I don't think you really, doing this long enough, you cherish every single one of them. But it was really a nice way, with our defense playing that well and getting that block punt that we've really been working on. It was really a nice way to get a win on the road, again, without your starting quarterback. And, again, we have one of the best, Hunter Watson, and he's had a phenomenal year so far. So, again, that was a big deal when it was without him.
Well, you mentioned Hunter Watson there. That's who I wanted to ask you about. How's he just feeling in general? I know it's got to be a tough time, not only dealing with an injury, but not being able to play the game that you love, and especially in the spot you guys are in. I know it was, rough as far as, looking at the scoreboard and the game itself for Jace Bauer at times, but just kind of your thoughts on that position now and, what you're expecting moving forward.
Yeah, Hunter traveled with us. And I think because of the short week, probably was the reason why we couldn't get him back out there. But feel very confident he'll be up for the La Tech game. And then we have an interesting schedule. We have 18 days off. Sometimes with these midweek games and when the buys are, you can get some interesting, scheduling. And we have actually 18 days off after we play La Tech. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to get everybody healthy moving into those last 3 games of the season. So, and Jace Bauer has played well for us. I thought he came in Central Florida game and played really well. Did some nice things, in some other games when we needed him. And it just, one of those games where we were struggling blocking on the perimeter. So that took some of that game away. And their D-line's pretty good. What people forget is FIU also took Liberty to overtime at Liberty. And so this is not a team that – and that's where our conference is. It's who's winning those 50-50 games. If you win those 50-50 games, you could – you're 8-4 or 9-3 or you go into a bowl. If you're losing those 50-50 games, you're 4-8, 5-7. So it comes down in our league especially with a lot of 50-50 games. And I think last year we had the most one-score games in all of college football in terms of the FBS level, and it shows week in and week out.
By the way, and I think that's at every – because 2022 TCU, who ended up playing for a national title and got smothered by Georgia, they won 5 last-minute games that year. So it does seem to happen, and that makes sense. So when you were on with us, and you've been on with us a handful of times, Casey, you mentioned that one year you were going to rest or sit a lot of your players as like a redshirt year to make sure that your roster was ready for when you hit this moment. And it appears as if you did the right thing. How difficult, though, was that kind of wait and being patient?
Oh, it was most brutal year of my college coaching career, because we have a whole mentality. We're all in all the time. And it's always about winning championships. And now we're playing a season when I'm looking behind me and I got all my best players standing in street clothes behind me. And it was twofold. The first thing is, in the world of the portal, you better learn to make adjustments on the fly. And all of a sudden, my players, because you got to remember when Appalachian State moved to FBS, those players couldn't go play, at another Division I football program. They could go down to Division II, but who wanted to go down to Division II? So they were stuck there, They had to live through the transition. Our kids were totally different. Because the transfer portal and the transition at the same time, our kids could go anywhere. So that's kind of the deal you had to make with them. You have to listen to them and say, okay, let me tell you how we can make this work. We're going to play that A&M game. We're going to let you play in the Battle of the Piney Woods. We're going to pick 2 other games early in the season. And then we're going to get you, healthy and in shape and go ready to play Conference USA. Wow, Coach, you can do that? We can do it. Do I want to do it? Yeah, probably not, but we can do that. So it was something out of necessity, but boy, it was a brutally long season, knowing that we could have won a lot more games. But again, what are those games counting for? And the other thing is, I think people forget, we had to play on a 9-game schedule. We had some schools drop us because we were leaving the conference. And so we were stuck in a 9-game schedule. And boy, you talk about a long season, boy, that was a long, long season.
That was something that I'm not saying other coaches would not have done the same thing, but there are also the possibilities of, man, this is on my win-loss record. It's for the best of the program. It's kind of like when you come in and take over a new program, there's some years you're going to have to struggle, but that was a very unselfish thing for you to do.
Well, yeah, I think it's a matter of self-preservation, because the rules are changing constantly. I mean, literally, are we just doing 1 portal this year? We're doing 2 portals this year? Oh, we're going back to 2 portals. I thought we were going to go 1 portal. I mean, like literally week by week, you're trying to decipher what the new information is out there. And all that stuff affects how you evaluate your players, what your calendar looks like. I mean, it really does. And that's why, it's so important in this day and age, you're the general manager. I have a guy, Clayton Barnes, 29 years old. I mean, he is as sharp as they come, and he manages all those things. Hey, Coach, didn't know if you saw the new legislation. This is what it looks like, and this is what I think we should do. I mean, so all that stuff's taking place, and there's a lot of moving parts in college football now more than ever before.
How much did that time with the guys that you had to talk into it, obviously, in the new world, make them stronger mentally as football players, knowing that they were going to have to sit and watch and not be in it?
Well, I think one of the things, too, it solidified our relationship. It was one of those like, oh, Coach is going to do that for me. And I appreciate him looking out for me. And so, we're very big into, love and trust. And you can't love somebody unless you know somebody. You can't trust somebody unless you know somebody. That's kind of our foundation. So we spend a lot of time getting a chance to know each other. And I think if you look at our success, a lot of our success is because we have a roster that's old. We have a roster that has a lot of juniors and seniors on it, that guys who played a lot of football for us. We have some guys who are transfers, that we all do, but our roster is not made of 100% mercenaries. If your roster is made up of 100% mercenaries, wow, I think that's tough. And I think we've won some games this year because of our culture. And a great example was that Texas State game. We're down 22-0. And this team marches back and has a 6-minute and 45-second drive at the end of the game to put the game away and kick the field goal. I mean, that's a culture win. No one panicked. Everyone knew the philosophies. We're going to play to the end, and then we'll check out what the score is. No one's going to point a finger. So I think in today's day and age, you're seeing that it's important to have talent, but it's more important to have culture.
We mentioned Kavian Gaither picked off the first pass they threw, I think, on the second play of the game. I traded a note with Ben Ricard last night about it. We remember when we asked you about him. He was going to play. We watched him. We covered his games his senior year in high school, and what guys like that have meant to you.
Oh, my God. And Kavian, and I told him, and I saw his family after the game, and I said, his legacy, he's he's the captain of the team that took us to our first bowl. That's his legacy.
There you go.
And what a special, special player. What an amazing human being. And, here's a kid that, was definitely getting some – he was the WAC player of the year, when we redshirted Trevor Williams. And, there's no question that there's people in his ear trying to say, hey, listen, if you put yourself in the portal, now I'm graduating as a Bearcat. Well, so we have some guys who are really grounded that way, who know that, like, for a couple extra dollars, it's really not worth it for me to go down that road. I want to have a great college experience. I want to, be someone who's going to be a fabric of the team kind of guy. And we're blessed to have so many guys like that. And Kavion is absolutely the leader of that group.
Casey, when all this started with NIL and then the portal, and we know that the schools, the bigger boys at the top are going to raid other programs, maybe even yours or others. At the same time, you're getting some players maybe that leave schools that are what they call more the Power 5 or 4, which has benefited, what programs in your opinion have benefited the most from the current rules in college football?
Well, if you look at what happened to Michigan State when the transfer portal first opened and first happened, all of a sudden they had this phenomenal year. Well, then the next year they're just a totally different team, because if you're living in the transfer portal, every year is going to be like, did we make the right evaluation this year? You're not growing your own. And I believe strongly that locker room, you win a lot of games because how strong your locker room is. And so I think, how we've done it is we're going to try really working with any NLI money we have to maintain our roster. We're going to reinvest back in our players. If there's, we have very low, we probably have the lowest NIL in the country. And we're working on that, but that's just the reality. We probably have, we went into FBS as a mid-level FCS budget for football. So think about that. We're not even in the top of the heap in FCS financially, and we're going into FBS because all the success we had. We also saw there was a change taking place in college football, and we thought we needed to be closer to the sun than down in the middle there, And so, there's a lot of moving parts with this whole thing, but we really have a strong belief that, you need players, but you also need culture. So I think we've selfishly managed it pretty well. And also you got to remember, I don't have the money that we can go buy players. So I don't know how I would react in those situations, but I still believe that you just can't have mercenaries in your locker room, because I think there's no one to lead the culture. And so I think it's a fine line of bringing in talent, but also making sure you're taking care of your locker room.
How much better do you have to get at not the recruiting part of it of please come here, but identifying those guys with that layer on top of it of there's money involved now?
Yeah, it's interesting. Our first recruiting weekend last year, where we could bring transfers on, we had 3 transfers come in and they all tried to negotiate NLI deals with me. I'm like, guys, you're at the wrong place. We're going to take care of our own first. And if there's any opportunities for you, we'll let you know that. But besides maybe some moving, money that our alums might do, because we had a bunch of alums who, when they transferred, they remember not being able to get that first summer check until the middle of June, but they had to move in the middle of May, all that kind of stuff. So we've been able to do that. Some alums have worked out some things in our collective where, some of those transfers coming in get a little, move in, sort of deal. But it's interesting how you have to, manage all those things, because there's no secrets in our world. There's just no secrets. And if someone's getting something, everyone else knows about it too.
No question.
So you got to make sure that you're shooting straight with your kid. If you don't think it's going to get back to the rest of the team, you're playing pretend.
Congratulations, Coach. It's been fun to we've had you on again many times, and including the year when you had to kind of just take a beating in a way, and what you did with the program and what it's leading to. The first year you're already bowl eligible, and I know you have bigger fish to fry. We enjoy watching what you're doing. Tell Kavion we said hello, and congratulations on getting to a bowl game. I know you got a staff meeting to get to, so we better let you go.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We wrote history last night, but now there's more history to write, and that's kind of the theme with our players in our team meeting coming up here in about an hour.
Yep, there you go, and that's why it's Casey Keeler, head coach at Sam Houston State.